All right, thank you, Carrie. Thanks to everybody for coming. Thanks to Art Space 304. This is an awesome event. I've been meeting really great people already and looking forward to hearing some more awesome stuff. I get the opportunity to introduce my friend Guy about Art Social and why it matters, but first I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself and Union Street Arts as a whole, and then...
Can you speak up? I'm a little bit deaf.
Are you?
I'm having a hard time.
Or there is a microphone if you want to try that. I know he probably doesn't want to do that.
Testing. It's not on. Well, if you can't hear, maybe come forward and you'll be able to hear better. Okay.
There's some background noise. Yeah.
So let me begin my presentation. Again, I'm Luke O'Neill. I'm the founder of Union Street Arts. This is our building here in Marion, Illinois, just across the street. We are a media, music, and arts venue. We are really focused on amplifying the voices of our community and creating art opportunities for people in our region. So again, this is me. I'm from Marion High School, graduated in 2012. Went to Southern Illinois University in Carbondale, got my bachelor's of arts in media, studied cinema and photography with a minor in theater. I'm an art lover, you can't really see that, but art lover and entrepreneur. If you were here for the last session, I guess that's a good language that artists need to start using. So I am an art lover and an entrepreneur, and I'm also on the board of the Marion Cultural and Civic Center Foundation, which is a venue in Marion. It's one of the premier venues that we're very lucky to have in the region. Union Street Arts was founded in 2020 in April. We started doing actually live streaming music events during the pandemic shutdowns as a way to keep creating amid chaos in the world. And that's a picture of a musician we had, one of the bands. We did full sets. We had an article featured in the Southern, and there's us. That black wall is what was originally there, which we turned into a mural, which you'll see here in a sec. First mural began in 2020. You can see the before and after. It's become a photo destination and public art. You can see the mayor of our town, Marion, over there, and the interactive umbrella. Das was a mural artist from Austin, Texas. He's internationally known, extremely great. He visited our studio as well. So we try to create these photo opportunities and an interactive element at our studio. We also do art fairs. We've done them 3 years. You can see going back to 2021, where we get local artists to create a market and sell their goods to the public. We've had a really great success with that. You can see here just some of them. We've had 60 local vendors, live music, which we've also been able to bring on local sponsors for this event, and generating interest and sponsorships for art opportunities is a new thing really in this area. So we're excited to be able to help do that. I did mention we are a music venue too. This is a picture on our stage at our studio. You see the lights and the fog. So we do music as well. And a podcast, which is how I really got to talk to Michelle and Guy for the first time, who was about to come on, where we try to amplify the voices of people in our area. You know, you have a mural artist here, a photographer, an arts admin, theater performer, just all different types of people. We just really want to help share stories and cultivate the community. And that's a big part of what we do on our podcast. We also host a Summer's Kids Camp, where we try to give opportunities for the youth to get involved in the arts. You can see here, this is one of our murals at our building as well. You know, all these little kids, there's nothing really better than just seeing that moment click for a kid and that spark and the creativity that they can just run wild with. So we really love being able to offer our kids programming, which we would like to do more of. And you see this mural, we had a partnership with the School of SIU Art and Design, actually, to be able to accomplish this. You can see some students working here. You know, we got some news coverage. This was a master's level course that was offered, and my friend Antonio was able to help that. Which brings us to Art in the Garden, which is another art festival. It brings me to Guy, which he'll talk more about. Just, again, creating art opportunities for people to sell art, for people to consume art, and just to build a stronger community around the arts. So, a little plug for me, unionstreetarts.com. Follow us. our events are on there. This is a rock show that we had. We do have merchandise. I wouldn't be an entrepreneur if I didn't plug our merchandise. So we do have these shirts that I'm wearing now for sale for the eclipse that's coming. We do have the SIU dog overlooking the Shawnee Forest with the glasses on. We did get this all approved, so don't worry about that. So without further ado, I'd like to turn to Guy, where he comes into this whole story and Monday Art Social. All right. Let me pull up your program.
Okay. I'm Guy. Thanks for coming. So Art Social, that could mean a lot of different things. We just experienced something like that just here a few minutes ago. There was a room set up for spontaneous art making, and towards the end of it, everyone had a chance to sort of talk about their pieces, and that's kind of what we're talking about here. Luke's space is great because it is a perfect community space. It's located kind of in the heart of Marion, and it's sort of a low-pressure space. It's not an expensive place to rent out, and so when we first met Luke and we talked to him, we found an opportunity to do this. So Michelle and I, we came down to the Southern Illinois area from Chicago way back in '96, and we immediately started looking for an arts community that we could connect with, and we found it difficult, actually. We had kind of ran into a dead end there, and I know it's changed a lot in the last 25 years. But this was really, now that we are parents and we're meeting more other parents, and we've met Carrie Stover, who's helping to organize this whole thing, and she's really connected us with a lot of people too. We've been getting more and more active, and hosting this art social kind of like harks back to the 90s when people used to actually get together and do things in person more. So what is an art social? There's a few different categories here, and I wanted to kind of run through those quickly. Really, it's any time when people are getting together to do something creative where they also have the freedom to socialize and speak to each other. So for instance, classes and hands-on workshops, anything where there are creative activities. This is a photo from Project Human X in Carbondale, and they have a lot of they've had 450 events or something like that where they have people come in, and they'll usually have, in this case, they're all doing the same composition. So there's a shared goal there. So these structured activities usually have a shared goal of some sort. Plein air painting groups, I love to paint plein air, but I've never been able to plug into a group like this because I don't know if anyone's doing this locally, but that's a chance for artists to kind of all paint the same thing. Often they'll get together at the end of it and look at each other's work. Sometimes they'll know each other, and sometimes they'll get to know each other as a result. And then kind of, this is an old photo from 1905, but Michelle and I used to go to figure drawing groups in Chicago, and there's, again, nothing like this here unless you're in the school. But it was neat because these were unstructured kind of events where you would have 30 or 40 other artists in a couple different rooms, figure models who would be doing poses of various lengths, and in between all the drawing, you'd sit out in the courtyard and eat a burger off the grill and look at each other's drawings and get to know each other and sometimes get valuable feedback. So those are the structured types of art socials. The more unstructured type, there's a few different kinds there, but this is a photo from one of the Union Street events, and these are informal gatherings, and we're just asking people to show up. Bring a project if you have one. If you're not sure and you don't know what you want to do, just show up because we always have at least some basic supplies. And we have some regulars that will bring the same big project every week and they'll just continue working on it. Others that'll start something new each time. Michelle and Kaya and I will start something new each time. But that's only part of the reason why we're there. Then some other businesses, we've experienced this from being involved in the tattoo industry. Some businesses will actually have paint nights or art nights where their employees or other artists in the community will come together and just paint and make art. And it's kind of like an art social, but it's a different sort of hosting structure. But it is, again, the only goal really is to be around your peers and be creative. And then finally, fairs and festivals where you've got live art performance. This is a photo from Art in the Garden from last year that Luke had mentioned. Michelle and Luke and I and Marquez from Project Human X joined together to host the first Art in the Garden last year. And we've got another one scheduled this year for September 21st. And it was really a remarkable event. And one of the things that we were trying to do with it, it's a little bit different from a lot of art festivals, is we wanted to make it as hands-on as possible. So you didn't just show up and look at everybody's art, but you had a chance to bring your own project, set up an easel. We had a sketchbook cafe area set up by the coffee vendors. If you forgot to bring a sketchbook, you could get one at cost. We just wanted to make it as available as possible for people to casually wander in there without even realizing that they felt like being creative, and then be able to if they wanted to. And there were people that brought painting projects, like the ones you see here. And so there was a lot of hands-on creativity happening, which just changed the vibe of the entire event completely. It was a magical experience. We had activity tables at some of the booths for kids. Project Human X had one. We had one at the Art Social booth that we had set up as well. And steady streams of kids coming through and doing things. They were doing jewelry at the Project Human X booth. But you've got a table of people that are they might not have met each other before, and they're in a creative context. So why is this important? Art can make us more socially open. I didn't bring my notes up. I'm going to take a moment to grab my notes.
We couldn't tell.
Well, until I ran into the wall. I actually have like some numbers and things, and right, I don't want to pull that out of thin air. Okay, but because an art social is set up to be in a relaxing, low-pressure environment, it allows a person to kind of ease their way into conversation and interaction with others at their own pace. The fact that they have an art project kind of gives them a reason to be there and can serve as a possible conversation starter. So rather than just showing up at a party and standing there in a corner like, okay, how do I talk to people? Because most of us are pretty bad at that. There's a whole context of being there in a creative setting with other people who are in the creative setting, and it seems to just naturally take down some of those inhibitions. And we found that the people that join the group, even the ones that are pretty quiet at first, everyone eventually opens up. Some of the benefits. First of all, a lot of us, it's hard to make time to make art regularly. So and to get out and maintain our social skills, to just exercise our social muscles outside of our regular work context or whatever. So the enhanced cognitive function due to conversation and active listening. Actually, that's in the wrong part of my notes. And then, yes, regularly scheduled art time, like we were saying. Now, we have John here. He would bring an ongoing painting and sit back down and plug back into it, while other people would bring, just a blank piece of paper or a canvas. And in many cases, some of the people that were there said, yeah, this is the only time I get around to working on my art. So it's sort of a scheduled pretense to just make sure that it happens. Kind of like if you have a group that you go to the gym with, you're more likely to show up. And of course, building community and finding new local opportunities. So, for example, the Art in the Garden Festival happened as a result of us sitting around with these fine folks. So let's talk about today's mental health landscape, because things have changed a lot in the last 5 years, not just from COVID, but from lots of things. But people are not interacting face-to-face as much. People are working at home, they're schooling at home, shopping online, not going out to buy stuff and just running into each other at the store anymore, using social media as a proxy for actually getting together with your friends. And this has happened in such a gradual but complete way to the point where 5 or 10 years, our way that we interact with others, it's changed shockingly. And people are also relocating more. This is an interesting statistic. Since 2020, twice as many people are moving out of urban areas. And partly that was because of the pandemic, but there have been a lot of other factors as well, including there were some low interest rates for a minute there, and they're like, I should buy a house while I can. But yeah, the number of people relocating has kind of spiked, and when you relocate, you're starting over again with your social group. And that can be very difficult to get up and running again. But the statistics of how people actually feel are pretty shocking. 1 in 10 Americans that feel lonely every day. And it's worse when you get to younger people, where it's, 30% of them, age 18 to 24, feel lonely consistently. And they probably have a peer group that they're seeing through their device most of the time. And that's just the normal way of doing things. So it ends up just being a habitual cycle. And then, according to a report, a lot of things like online communities that you would think might be an antidote to that, or getting out to the gym, actually didn't have a big impact on people's feelings of loneliness. Obviously the online interaction has got its limitations, but going to the gym, I go to the gym, I don't ever get to talk to people there. It doesn't really happen very often unless you've got, a good crew that you regularly go with. And then the sad fact is that lacking social connection is bad for our health, equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It can lead to morbidity, and in older people, can lead to a cycle that can actually cut your life short. So because of all this, people are experiencing a greater sense of isolation. And social anxiety is through the roof. We have some therapist friends that have confirmed this. It's become just sort of the norm for people to feel socially anxious. And I don't remember it being that way in the past. And then, of course, less creative time and personal expression, and people have cited a lot of reasons for that, even including things like they're expected to monetize their hobbies and turn it into a side hustle, and it just takes the joy out of it. So something's got to change, right? And the art socials provide an accessible antidote. It's accessible because all you need is a space. All you need is people who are ready to show up. And of course, it can take a lot of different forms. It doesn't have to be unstructured. If you have a group of people that all want to try painting outdoors, it can be built around that. But the important thing is to have 3 or more people and a place where you can get together regularly. From there, it will build. And there are incredible therapeutic benefits to making art. One of them being that creativity does lead to a more open mindset. It actually allows you to think bigger. And it causes the brain to become more active, which is good for your mental health in a number of different ways. That leads to increased neural connectivity. You're actually physically building your brain as a result of being creative. And especially as we get older, it's beneficial for young people too, but it is a thing that keeps your brain vibrant. And then increased positive perspectives. That is, just your outlook on life as a result of being creative regularly is going to tend to be more positive. You're going to tend to think less about your problems of right now and more about what you're working on, what you're working towards, and the community that you're sharing it with. And because of all those things, creative people tend to be more adaptable, psychologically resilient, so that, our brains become more plastic. We're building more neural connections. And all of that adds up to being healthier and happier. And most people agree on this in a study. 80% of Americans believe that the arts are a positive thing, and an important antidote to the troubles that we're dealing with in the world today and all the anxiety. So some of the things that happen when you're actually making art in a social setting. So art and art therapy are one thing, but what we're specifically talking about here is art in a social setting. Now you've got enhanced cognitive function, not just from making art, but you're making art while talking, while active listening. And I found this to be great. And in our own group, we have such interesting conversations that pop up. Sometimes there'll be a little art history blurb that somebody's talking about. Somebody might just be talking about their own experience at an art gallery or something like that. But whether you're participating or actively listening while creating, this actually leads to enhanced cognitive function. And then increased positive emotions. This comes from the satisfaction of the creative process happening alongside social activity. So the satisfaction can amplify the positivity of the social interactions that you're having. Sense of belonging. Now this one's huge. Again, we feel this sense of isolation, but it's not just showing up somewhere. It is being a part of something. And all you need to be a part of one of these is to show up ready to create. That gives you a place at the table. And if you have a project to work on, even better, but again, not necessary. And if you it's your first time ever, you have a reason to be there. And no one's going to question you and say, hey, why are you here? What are your credentials? Your only credential that you need is you're there to be creative. Skill development, and that's no small thing. When you're in a group of other creative people, you are going to inevitably be inspired. You're going to see what other people are doing. You're going to maybe get some feedback on what you're up to, especially if you open yourself up to feedback. And I found some people in our group regularly ask questions. Not everybody wants to do that, and you don't have to. But it is nice to get feedback. And then, of course, the increased motivation and inspiration because of the group dynamic. Hearing that other people are doing things, working towards things, can help us feel more inspired with our own activities. So art socials bring creative people together, and that will naturally result in unexpected things happening. For example, students with an art-rich experience are more than 4 times more likely to participate in community activities such as student government, voting, volunteering, using the library, just as a result of being involved in creative activities. So it really changes your whole mindset. Regulars at these events are going to gradually build bonds and friendships. There's kind of a guideline that you need regular exposure to people to develop friendships. They say that roughly 60 hours or something like that, the 60-hour rule. Or there's the 11-3-6, 11 times 3 hours apiece over a 6-month period. Of course, these are just numbers, but if you're seeing the same people regularly, you're a lot more likely to build friendships. And the nice thing about the art socials is we do get good groups of regulars. We get people that come and go, and we've got people who've been consistent. They're there every other time or whatever, because everybody's busy. Monday night is when we do it. A lot of kids have sports that night, but there's no such thing as a time when they don't. And then opportunities appear, such as here, we've got Noah making a mural. He was invited to do a mural at the Art in the Garden event. This is at Mandela Gardens in Marion, as a result of his involvement with Art in the Garden and the Art Social. What those opportunities might be could be anything from collaborating with a fellow artist to creating bigger events and things like that. But the important thing is it gives us a way of finding each other. So then let's go to, I'm missing some slides. Oh, bummer. I am missing some slides. Okay. Oh, this is one of the best ones too. Our daughter Kaya created these graphics, But I want to talk about small towns and rural settings, the benefits of Art Social. So a vibrant creative community can bring color and life to small towns, and we're seeing this happen in Marion, which is, we've been around Marion long enough that for it to suddenly get covered with murals and have these creative businesses opening is a gigantic breath of fresh air. It was just a very normal downtown for a long time with empty brick walls and a lot of storefronts that had potential, but nothing really going on. But with the arts moving in, we're seeing all of it wake up. We're seeing third Thursdays of every month, people coming out onto the streets, doing activities, meeting each other, casually bumping into each other. It's been visibly an improvement to the town. Anyway, I'm sorry I don't have that slide, but let's just go straight to the meat of the matter. Is if you feel like hosting an art social in your community, what do you need? The first is space, and if there's no other way of doing it but to do it at somebody's residence, that's okay. But we've found that it's really nice to have a kind of a neutral space. Union Street Arts have been great for that, but you might be able to do it at even a library or a place like that. So yeah, space. Basic art supplies, we always have something. People do show up with projects most of the time, but sometimes they don't. They've heard of it and they're not really sure what it's about, and they'll show up empty-handed. A lot of the times when people come up with their kids, they won't necessarily have much with them. So we try to have some basics. Paper, markers, pencils. We usually have watercolors and watercolor paper and some cheap brushes, and it's been very easy to maintain these supplies. It was not a big cash outlay to get it started. Mostly stuff we just had lying around, and it's been very helpful to have. Tables. Now, the tables that we've got at Union Street Arts, we always wrap with plastic because people come with all different mediums and make all kinds of messes. And so it's also good if you can find a volunteer or two that can regularly help you to wrap and unwrap the tables at the beginning and end of the session. But it just helps free things up so we don't have to worry as much. Tip jar, if this is being held in a business especially, we suggest that people drop in $5 if they can. If they can't, they're still welcome. We don't want anybody to be excluded because they're broke, but it's also, Luca's burning electricity when we're there, and we want to at least partly make up for that. And then, of course, people. People are the important part, and the longer you have it running, the more people will show up. But if you have any friends in the creative community, you're going to have people already. And sometimes you might need to kind of reach out to your group and say, what's going to be the best time to do this, best day of the week. You might have to try a few different times, but before you know it, you've got something up and running. Then all that's left is to promote it. How do you promote an art social, especially in a small town setting? We've found the local press to be very receptive. With the local newspapers, sometimes all you have to do is give them a good photo and a press release, and they will print something. Our experience, though, is sometimes they'll just take the whole press release and just copy and paste it. So make sure you like how you wrote your press release. And we've also found that the local TV stations they showed some of the Art in the Garden stuff, and art is interesting. And especially if you come to them with prepared things, they're looking for interesting stuff that's about the community. They will share it. And then, of course, you want to create a social media presence for your art social so that you have a way of making announcements about dates and about if any regulars who want to see their stuff shared, you can post some of that stuff. And that's been, I think, great for morale. People love to see their work posted. And that has been essential, having we've got both an Instagram and Facebook presence for Monday Art Social, and it's been essential for helping the momentum stay rolling along. And in fact, we've got some QR codes here for both of those. Two of these are, we've got the Facebook and Instagram, and then Art in the Garden that is coming up on September 21st. We'll be making announcements through that link there. So last but not least, we wanted to have a quick art social. We've only got about 17 minutes to do it, but we've brought some markers and paper, and we would love to sit around the table with you guys and draw for a few minutes and maybe get to know you. So if you don't mind grabbing a chair and bringing them on back there.